Okay, so I could go live, but I kind of just feel uncomfortable going live, so I'm not going to do that. But I did want to talk about marriage for a moment. Okay. So Jasmine Tukes, who is a Victoria's Secret supermodel, an angel, and I would say, I'm just going to say she was previously a Victoria's Secret angel. So, firstly, the Victoria's Secret show I think has been canceled forever, so there's not even going to be any more of those like angel shows. And I'm not sure, they changed all the catalogs and now there's a bunch of like fat people in the catalogs, so I don't know what it really means to be a Victoria's Secret angel anymore. But back in the day, when it did mean something to be a Victoria's Secret angel, she was one. And she's been dating one of these like CEOs at Snapchat for a while, and they've been in a long-term relationship for like a very long time. It's been like 3 or 4 years. I guess a lot of people didn't know that, but so she gets married. Her wedding is it's just beautiful. Like, it's like, wow. Her wedding was like really like a fairy tale princess wedding. And I want to talk a minute about what that means, just to kind of like break down some assumptions. I was describing this to a colleague today, like, because I know a lot of women in the developing world, and they've been watching like white women get married and like reading, the New York Times marriage section for a while, and there's just a bunch of like white women get married a lot, and especially they're marrying like wealthier men, so the weddings are like way nicer, right? Like, the more money that you have, the nicer your wedding will be. And a lot of people grew up watching Disney movies, so everyone pretty much like wants a fairy tale wedding, and Jasmine got one. But Jasmine is like a black girl. She's also like a Victoria's Secret angel. Like, it's very hard to become a Victoria's Secret angel. So in terms of like the beauty hierarchy, I mean, she's fucking at the top and has been. I definitely think she's like one of the most beautiful Victoria's Secret angels they have. Like, her and Lais Ribeiro are like very attractive women. And I don't know, and neither one of them are white, right? And Jasmine happens to be like the black one. I think she might actually be one of the most successful Victoria's Secret angels ever. Maybe she doesn't trump like Tyra Banks, but I mean, in terms of like the modern age, like, she's definitely like worked a lot of shows. She got to wear like the really impressive wings like a lot of times. Like, she's pretty bomb, right? She's done a lot. Okay, so but also she married very well. Like, her husband is like Snapchat, right, is like a tech company, and he's like a really wealthy like director there, right? And that's major. So and also I think Jasmine's from a pretty like upper middle class family anyway, or at least a middle class family. And so here's a couple things that I think are very interesting, and I think some people might have missed this about surrounding the publicity of the wedding. Now, if you look at a lot of the wedding photographs, and you see who's actually in the audience at this wedding, and you see kind of who's not. So, like I said, Jasmine has been an angel for quite some time, and so it seems like she was friends with a lot of the other Victoria's Secret angels, yet, like, Lais Ribeiro was not at the wedding. And I thought it seemed like they were like best friends, so why wouldn't your best friend be at your wedding? But there's another girl, I think her name is like Jo or something, Flo Jo. I don't know. Jasmine has a little YouTube workout channel with this girl. She's like a white girl. I think she's also an angel, but I think that girl was at the wedding. But there was like a lot of angels who were not at the wedding. Like, I don't think Kendall Jenner was there. Maybe she was. I don't know. I don't think she was, though. So I'm guessing, and this is what, like, from what I know in terms of like tech hierarchy and tech money and royalty right now, right? It's probably a lot of like other tech CEOs that were at that wedding. You could check their Instagrams to see like who was there and who wasn't. But models are pretty, but in terms of like social capital, and respectability politics, they're not at the top of the totem pole. Unless, like, some models, like Kendall Jenner, unfortunately, like, she had clout before she became a model. And there's other people who, like, if you're like Puff Daddy's children, for instance, that's a good example. Like, they walked in, you know, like, I think Paris Fashion Week, and they're probably walking in New York Fashion Week as well. But those are, like, Diddy's daughters, right? So they have a shit ton of social capital even before they walked the show. Like, walking the show kind of didn't really do much for them. It did way more for the brand than it did for them, because it's fucking Diddy. He's, like, basically a billionaire, right? Okay, so let's go back. I really liked seeing the images of Jasmine's wedding, because I think for a lot of little black girls, they needed to see another black girl have a fairy tale wedding. Like a real one. Even like some of the celebrities, like, there's so many basketball wives. I mean, I don't know. I guess I didn't see Sierra's wedding. Maybe hers was great too. And I guess I could go look back at photos of that, but I don't know. I guess I didn't really pay attention to it. And like Gabrielle Union, there's so many of these like Hollywood black women that are married, but for some reason their weddings were like whack. You know, they weren't like it. And Jasmine gave us like, it's like better than Cinderella. I mean, she was already like super beautiful, right? But even that wedding was to die for. I mean, did you see the church, the dress? I mean, her husband is lovely. Like, it's just, the whole thing is just like, right, like chef's kiss. And I think a lot of us needed to see that. Anyway, moving on. I think that in the black community, there's some idea that like black women specifically are going to like settle for really the garbage that many black men are putting out, right? They're offering nothing, and they're not very attractive. They're not very rich. I mean, okay, so if we're talking about how economically awful the black community is doing, I mean, we kind of do have to start with like black men, right? Like, y'all just are not like making the money. So like, you can't really have black housewives when you don't have like black providers. It's not a thing. Like, you need the economic base first. And I feel like most black women have figured that out. And so at this point in time, like, every black woman I know with a brain has just found economic success in corporate America, because like nobody's trying to live in poverty. That's not like it's 2021, right? So, and then there seems to be like another thing where a lot of black women are just not dating at all, right? They're just like, I don't want to talk to you at all. Like, they won't even speak to men really anymore. Because I've heard the stories from some men who are like, yeah, but women are just so mean now. They don't talk to you at all. They'll just be like, don't speak to me, or like whatever they say. And then I guess, like, I didn't realize this, but like most men in society are like, or it's like 80% or something of men in general in American society are like not getting laid regularly. I mean, a lot are paying for, like, also a lot of men are paying for prostitutes. Like, let's be real. Like, men are getting laid by buying street hookers. And if they can't get them on the streets in America, they'll just go to the developing world. That's why you always see people, you know, they're having all these trips to Brazil and everybody's like, oh, we're international travelers. They're just going there to buy pussy, which is like so sad. But whatever. That's what's really happening. Okay. And so, given all of that context, right? And I feel like for myself, I realized, like, I feel bad. Okay, here's the thing. I feel like I tried, and I would say this year is probably my first year ever trying to date black men. I feel like I crossed black men off my list of, like, men to possibly date a very long time ago. It's just like, they're too poor, they're too unconfident, they're too needy, they just want all this shit. And I don't know why, like, black men are walking around acting like they are the prize, which I think is weird. Like, you don't have vaginas, and you can't have your own babies, so whatever. So I thought all that shit was weird, but it's like, honestly, my strategy was like mentally tune it out and just don't pay attention. And then I was like, I felt bad because, okay, so if like I'm black, so if I don't date black men, that means I'm dating outside of my race. And that kind of means I'm stealing somebody else's man, which is the same thing actually that happens when women from other races start dating black men and marrying black men, especially like we'll call them the high value black men. They're kind of like taking that stock away from like black women, really. So then like it's like who's left. And I felt bad doing that. So that's why like while I was dating people, I didn't date them publicly. Just because I feel like I don't want other like I say like white women, Latina women feeling like, oh, like there's this black girl coming in and then like why is he with her? What's so special about her? He should be with me. Because like women are petty like that, so that's how they feel. For me, I feel like I've watched all of my cousins, like so like Taj, just everyone just not date. They see beautiful black women all the time and they just like actively choose like I'm still gonna date, I don't know, something else, a Latin girl, a Spanish girl, a white girl, really something else. And here's the thing that's funny. These women are never like Giselle, even Kendall Jenner. Like I might not like her, but I do think she's pretty. Taylor Swift, Selena Gomez even. Who else? Maybe like Penelope Cruz. They are not those women because like here's the thing. In every single race, this is like true. In every race, there's a hierarchy, a beauty hierarchy. Like what's beautiful in the black community is not what's beautiful in the white community. What's beautiful in the Latin community is not what's beautiful in the white community. Like every single ethnic group has their own definition of like what is beautiful. In every single ethnic group, especially this is really prevalent in like white America, especially with like, we'll call them WASPs, right? The waspy white society. Like I don't know why, but in a lot of my upbringing, I've just been socialized around like WASPs, which are just like upper class white people, like rich white people, right? So wealth and beauty in the white community are like symbiotic. Like if you're super poor but you're beautiful in the white community, you'll typically do pretty well. You'll probably just marry someone rich, or you can just like just do pretty well socioeconomically by going to college or getting a job, or even just being like just like a regular mom in whatever neighborhood that you grew up with. Like you'll just marry someone in your local town. That's it. That's kind of like how it's gone. So like just being born and being white and being like attractive is like enough to live a very good American life. For some reason, it is not like that in the black community. The black community is like, I think a lot of it has to do with just economic destitution and a lack of like an economy, really. Like not enough black people are like starting businesses, specifically like black men starting businesses to bring economic wealth into the community to allow and build like a foundation. I appreciate what like Diddy is doing with Ciroc and Sean John, and he's been doing this for a very long time. Others did this with like Baby Phat, and like Kimora Lee Simmons did it with Baby Phat, and Beyonce now doing it with Ivy Park. Rihanna with Fenty. Like these are black people who are building black businesses that other lower class people are able to financially support, which is like bringing wealth into the black community. This needs to happen. It has to happen. It's like a critical part of really sustaining the race, right? It's really important. Okay, so then in the black community, right, like what do the rest of us do? Like everyone's not Jasmine Tookes, so like everyone is not going to marry a very powerful director of a tech company. So what do the rest of us do? And I feel like for myself, I've realized this is why I do not aspire to marriage, and I honestly never have. I feel like I learned this lesson very directly and honestly in high school when I realized like I'm very beautiful. Like other people can say what they want. Like I've been looked at as beautiful in the black community, in the white community, in the Latinx community, communities that I'm not even a member of, right? Like in all of those communities, in my lived experience, I've been considered beautiful. in the Black community, there's a lot of politics around it, and there's some sort of like, I don't know, like want or need to almost put a hierarchy. Like, if I'm beautiful, that means that someone else is not. And I don't think that my beauty detracts from anyone else's beauty. So I want to say that. But I also want to say that I am not the most beautiful woman in the world. I am not Halle Berry, right? I am not Rihanna, right? Like, I'm not Beyonce. I am Olivia. So like my Olivia level of beauty is like very particular. And so I feel like while Halle Berry can pull Brad Pitt, I don't really think I could. So like, I'm like, okay, so if I can't pull Brad Pitt, like, I don't really want to second. That's just the decision that I personally made. Like, if I don't have the beauty to pull whoever the director is, whoever like is at the top spot, if I'm not pulling him, I don't want anybody. That's when I decided, like, because here's the thing. If you snatch Brad Pitt from Angelina Jolie, like, I'm Black, but Angelina Jolie is a beautiful woman. If you pull Brad Pitt from fucking Angelina Jolie, you gotta be like a pretty bad bitch, right? Like, maybe if I was like Lais Ribeiro or something, it would be like, all right, well, I'm about to go snatch. But like, I'm not. So like, kind of gotta like live in your own lane, right? Okay, so I felt like I've known for a while that means like I'm gonna have to live out this 100 years that I'm alive, economically providing for myself at every level. Because here's another thing that I just refuse to do, and I feel like I've tried this before in like my first marriage, where it was like, let me just try to settle for someone who's like good looking, not rich, but just good looking. And I thought that I could live that life. And I feel like I've said this in other videos, like, don't get it twisted, because there are many people in my family who are very beautiful and they're straight up gold diggers. So growing up, I've been around not middle class people, but like rich people, like the rich Black people, and they're a different breed. They are just a different breed altogether. And then having in my adult life, like, I've been around white academics. Those are also a very different breed. So on one hand, you have people who are incredibly beautiful, and on the other hand, you have people who are incredibly smart. Now, there's a couple people who like trot that bridge where they're incredibly hot and incredibly smart. At this point, we call this tech. Like, if you, this is called technology. Really, everybody you know in tech right now, they're hot and smart. Look at Tim. Like, it's just like Tim and Matt. You're just like, damn, this is like these dudes have it all. Like, they just like, they're like beautiful and they're really smart. Like, I thought it didn't exist, because like I've known I'm beautiful and smart, like BJ, right? I didn't even know he does like math and baseball. It's incredible. Like, wow, the hybrid people are evolving. We really are turning into Star Trek people. Now for me, here's another thing. I've also realized that I didn't care too much about marriage, because I thought from like where I was in terms of like the country, right? Like, having grown up in California, having grown up in Berkeley, having lived in pretty like upper middle class neighborhoods, having family members who do live in Beverly Hills, other family members who have lived in Manhattan. You know, it's just like seeing and having a very close proximity to this wealth and privilege, really. It's kind of like, okay, so where do I fit in? And I've tried very hard to give myself like a global education. So I realized that like there are a lot of girls who look like me. Like, I look like an average Ethiopian girl. The difference between me and a lot of these other girls who are just as beautiful as me is like, I live in America. I have a passport. I have American citizenship, and I have access to money, really, and they don't. And that's it. Phonetically, in terms of like their brain chemistry, like if they had the resources that I had, they would be able to do all of the things that I am doing and more, right? And where being around academically, especially white people who believed in their like hearts that Black people are intellectually inferior and are not able to like comprehend certain things academically. They really believe that, and they just didn't see any examples of something else. But now there are, like, especially where I am, there's like the Ethiopian computer science professor, Reddit Abebe, right? She's also Ethiopian. She doesn't like look like me, but she's African, she's Ethiopian, and she's right on campus. Like, she is literally an instructor of computer science, and I think it has really changed a lot of people's viewpoints on what Black people are capable of, right? There's Black in AI. There's also Timnit, like, who's also Ethiopian, who's on the cover of Wired magazine, which is the #1 technical magazine in the entire country. It's kind of like, well, if you thought Black people were intellectually incapable, and you have 2 Black women who have PhDs in computer science and machine learning from Stanford and Harvard, it's just kind of like, I think that myth has been debunked. And now you have Jasmine, who is like, well, you literally have Prince Harry's wife, right? I don't know, I guess she's not a princess anymore, but she was. And now you have like Jasmine, who has had the most beautiful wedding that I haven't seen one as beautiful as. I didn't even watch Prince Harry's wedding. I think that Jasmine's was better, honestly. Like, that was incredible. But I guess, I would encourage more people, like, if you are watching this and in some way you identify with, like, what I am saying, or maybe my socioeconomically where I'm coming from, I would encourage you to think about, like, as a woman, I guess this video is mostly for women, or if you're a guy and you're watching this, to understand maybe how women like me feel or think. Like, really think about what you want your place in society to be. Because, like, I don't let people, like, glorify to you marriage to poor men. I don't think poor men deserve to get married, and not in a funny way. Poor men do not deserve to get married. They can't afford it. And I think the Latin American community in America right now has done an awful job of conveying this to their daughters, because they've been socially conditioned to make others believe, like, to make their own daughters and children believe that they're princesses, which is a lie. They're, like, literally immigrants. They're called illegal aliens. Like, not even in a funny way, but that is what conservatives are calling them. An illegal alien is not a princess. First of all, okay? So, like, to be a princess, you gotta have a castle. They don't even have a country right now. So, anyway. So, moving on. And then for some reason, in the Black community, this, like, phonetic idea of, like, Latin women being more beautiful than Black African women is, like, strange. And I think that's where it's weird, where people don't understand that people like me are Black, or that, like, Helen is, like, Black, or really all the Ethiopian women on the internet, or Somalian women, just all Nigerian women. There's so many, like, Black women do not have one look, okay? That we do not have, like, one skin type, and we change colors with the seasons. So there's, like, light-skinned Black women, there's brown Black women, there's dark-skinned Black women, and there's every single shade in between. There's caramel, there's honey, there's like that Hershey's Kiss chocolate, there's, like, really dark coffee, and there's, like, French vanilla. All the colors all of those women are Black. And in terms of the, like, hair type and texture and eye color, all that shit, Black women make up all of that. There's literally Black women who have all of those features, right? And that has nothing to do with Latin America. And for some reason, I think that Latin American women, not some of them, I would just say a few, some of them, believe that, like, they were going to come into, like, the Black community and then almost, like, take all of our men because they were more beautiful. But, like, that hasn't happened. I think, like, some of the more recent examples have been, like, Lori Harvey, Quincy, Diddy. Like, it's like everybody right now is trotting around with a Black woman on their arm. But I guess it's because it's, like, the hot thing to do. But Black women didn't, like, all of a sudden become more attractive. Like, we've always been this beautiful. It's just, like, social norms, I suppose, have changed to be more tolerant of different forms of beauty, but like if you say I'm ugly today and then someone else says I'm beautiful 5 minutes later, I didn't get any more attractive, right? The perspective changed. Like the person delivering the message changed, which I think is a problem with TV and representation, where people are watching television and believing it's real life. They're watching movies and believing these movies are like true to life, which isn't true. Everything you see on television isn't like reality. And I think it's really altering people's like world's view and understanding, because also a lot of people don't understand like the history of racism and how that is impacting where we are today. And so they need to have like more actual interactions and friendships and relationships with real like Black people to be able to understand social norms and customs and the way that I want to say like we interact in the real world. But that's not going to happen through like the TV screen. So okay, that's all I've got for now. And I think I'm going to make some more content about marriage markets just because I feel like more people need to read it. But yeah.